Here I am with Jaren Lamb, and we are talking drums today. This guy is a ace drummer. He's been with the Last Apes. Let's find out a little bit about Jaren. Jaren, how did you get? Well, you're in Tourette's. How did you arrive in Tourette's all the way from California?
Um, just lucky, I guess. I actually came to France with a band a long time ago, and when I was about 20, 21, and the band was called Shadowfax at the time. And we came to France because the lead singer, the guy that wrote the songs, the leader of the band, uh, proposed that Jimi Hendrix went to England as a studio musician and came back as a rock star, but no one ever did that in France. So actually, I never met them. I met them when I got to France. I had played with a bass player, a very good bass player named Gary Whitehead. I had played with him in a couple of bands, and he was a good bass player. And I was at the time playing in just a cover band and playing the scenes in LA and Orange County, basically. And it was getting boring. I was also working in a music store, which is the best job a musician can have, you know. You get discounts on equipment, you meet musicians, you get to demonstrate stuff. It's fantastic. Anyway, Gary came in and said, he said, I'm in this band, we're going to France. Do you want to come along? And see, Gary, fantastic bass player, but he lived a lot of his life kind of in the clouds, you know? So he proposed over the course of the 10 years I knew him before that, or 12 years I knew him before that. He always had these things going on, and most of the time they never came to fruition, right? So he came and he said, you know, we're going to go to France. You want to come to France, play drums? Our drummer has a girlfriend and doesn't want to go to France. I said, sure. No clue that it would ever fall through, ever happen, because that's how Gary was. And he said, okay, great. You know, and he left. And I didn't see him for a while. He came back about a month later. He said, okay, do you have a passport? You know, I have to get a passport. Do you have one? I said, no. He said, well, let's go get a passport. So we went and got a passport, right? Got the passport about 2 weeks later. And, you know, I thought that's, you know, I could always use a passport. Who knows, right? So I have a passport now. Anyway, he came in about a week after that. And he said, so you really want to go? I said, yeah, sure, you know. And he said, we're leaving on Thursday. Leaving on, well, actually, what I said, he said, we're leaving. I said, for where? For where are we going? We're going to France. I've been talking about this for months. We have a passport. We're ready to go. I said, Gary, I have a house. I have a girlfriend. I have a job. I have a band. I have 2 cars. I have stuff. He goes, well, you promised, and the band's looking forward. So I said, okay. So I sold in 1 week. I sold, well, 4 days actually. It took longer because everything went past when I left. But it took a while. I sold the cars. I quit my job, quit the band, said goodbye to my girlfriend for a while, and put my house up for sale, and went to France with his band, and that's where I met the rest of the guys. Okay, so once I got there, I found out that the reason why he thought he wanted to go to France was because the summer before in Mallorca he met a girl, a French girl. So that's why we were there. So it was a fantastic experience actually, and but the band only lasted 8 months, and we played a lot of gigs. We were on TV.
Oh,
And
wow.
played what they call a tremplin. It's a battle of the bands on TV over the course of 8 weeks. We won, but
Wow.
like everything else we did there, we had no paperwork. We were tourists, right?
Ah.
And so we had played several gigs, and it came time to be paid, and they said, okay, all I need to see is your card to see your green card or your work permit or something, right? We didn't have it. And every time, you know, so every time we got a gig, we said, listen, we have no paperwork. That's okay. It's music. Blah, blah, blah. And then they would not pay us, right? So we got this thing. We went on TV every week for 8 weeks because we went on the very first week and we won. There was 3 bands each week, I think it was. And we won, you know, was voting from the people in the audience. And we won. And the very last time, you know, I said, listen, as I say every week, we don't have any permits or anything. No, that's okay. It's music. It's all, it's all under the table. It's all cash. We won. And, they cheered us, and we're supposed to win a piano, a drum set, amplifiers, microphones, and a record contract, right?
Wow.
And so the show goes off the air, and okay, so where's our stuff? I said, just show us your work permit and we're set to go. I said, you know this. Well, big grin. Anyway, so we didn't win. They gave it to one of the relatives of the people on the show. And so after that, the band kind of went downhill because we thought that might be our key, is winning that battle of bands. And the band had good songs. They were really good songs.
Oh,
The singer songwriter was a guy named John Willoughby, who went on to open Casbah Studios in Orange County,
wow.
and a good musician. And he went on to do recording. He backed Stacy Q and different projects like that, right? But anyway, so when the band broke up, I took part of the band. I left with the girl that I met, and I took part of the band, and we went to the south. We went to Marseille, and we lasted maybe another month, and then they decided we couldn't get work, and they decided to go home, and I stayed, mainly because I had sold everything I had. I quit everything I had for 8 months. I could have kept everything, just rented my house out if I wanted to, right? So anyway, so I stayed, and I stayed
I ask you the
for
question, what did you do with the girlfriend? Do you just say bye-bye?
Yeah, well, the girlfriend actually came to visit us,
Ah,
and she's lovely. She's really lovely. But I stayed, and I ended up staying for a total of 4 years. And when I got back, she was married. So
oh, that's inconvenient.
and oh, yeah. No, because there wasn't the internet going on there at that time. Anyway, so that's how I got to France, and then later on, and I fell in love with France. It's got a feel about it that's incredible,
Oh, I bet.
and you can't walk around Paris without being marked, without being affected. It's lovely. Now I live in the south of France. It's fantastic, a little medieval village. I love it. We love it. We came back because my wife was laid off during Bill Clinton's. She was in aerospace. She was a middle management in aerospace, and she got told that Bill Clinton was going to cut, the Defense Department. So everybody there was looking for jobs, and she sent out resumes all over the country, and along with millions of other people that were also looking for jobs in the same line. And then she sent resumes all over Europe, and she got accepted in France. So she came to France. My wife's name is Ruth. She came to France uh, for a 1 year trial study, and she worked as a negotiator for some companies. And after the year was up, she was getting ready to come home, and they said, "Well, we have a place in the South France that, in Sophia Antipolis, that they could use you." So she called me up, and I came over, and we sold our stuff. I again had another house, so we sold our stuff and came over. And 2 or 3 weeks after I got here, the government came down on the company that hired her and said, "You can't hire people that aren't French unless you can pay them double the salary." And they couldn't pay her double her salary, so we were kind of stuck here. And she opened a shop. Took about a year to get all that together. She opened a shop, and she had a shop selling handmade wood products, very nice stuff, for about 14 years, 13, 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
and in the
between
meantime, I
times,
wrote.
you were teaching drums though, weren't you?
In the beginning, I wasn't. In the beginning, I was writing my musical. I wrote a musical, and I was writing that, and she worked, and I was writing. It was wonderful. Anyway, once I was done with that, I started teaching drums. I taught drums at Monaco International School of Monaco, International School of Nice, and Mougins School. So all three schools at the same time. So it was a busy life for a while. So now I'm in retirement and I'm trying to get my studio together here. This is our cav, and right now behind the other side of the screen, it's full of stuff. Then I have to get rid of and move around and whatever I have to do. Anyway, that's how I came to France. I love it here. I'm happy I'm here. There you are. And
Brilliant.
I continue to
There are
play
many
drums.
more tales. I know there are many more tales, and we'll get onto those another day. But let's talk about the drums. You were teaching drums, and now you've got this carve, this super studio. You need to soundproof it, I gather. Is this what your next task is?
We're in a little medieval village, but neighbors are very close around us. So yeah, so I have to soundproof it. It's a nice room. If it was soundproof, it'd be fantastic. So that's what I'm doing because I want to get bands together and that kind of thing. And a nice place for bands to rehearse is kind of hard to find sometimes. Anyway, so that's my next gig is to get a band together, play music.
Wow, that'll be good. But also, we're really going to talk about your musical, which is Swash and Buckle. Is that right? Or Buckle and Swash? Buckle and Swash. I knew I'd get that wrong.
Yeah,
Damn.
Buckle and Swash. Yeah, no, it's a really interesting story, and so it's from the term swashbuckle that you know the old pirate movies in the 30s and 40s, right?
Why did you turn it around? Why didn't you just call it Swash and Buckle as opposed to Buckle and Swash?
Because it's a story about some girl pirates, and so it's kind of not your normal story, and it's so swashbuckle. There have been movies called Swashbuckle, books called Swashbuckle. But Buckle and Swash is different. It makes you think different, and the musical is different. So that's why. And it's funny when I wrote this story, when I started to write, it was going to be a story. And I'm a drummer. I don't play piano or guitar. I can play some little piano now, but I didn't play piano or guitar or any melodic instrument. And so I was going to write this story uh, about these pirates. And the more I wrote, when it started to come together as a story, the more I heard music in it. Oh, that'd be a great place for it. If this was a movie or a musical, that there'd be a song right there. And I thought, what the heck? So I bought a keyboard and I started, playing clink, clink, plunk, plunk with 2 fingers, and then record that and play it back. And that's nice. And then change some notes and play it again. And I ended up writing a musical. And I mean, the interesting thing is that I don't know, maybe people think about it, maybe musicians think about it, or maybe they don't. But I was playing in a lot of cover bands. I played in original bands, but I also played in a lot of cover bands. And when you're playing in a cover band, you're playing famous songs, right? And usually they're famous because there's something in that song that's called a hook. That's something that catches your attention. It could be the lyrics, it could be the drum beat, it could be the chord, it could be the guitar intro, something that is popular enough to make it a hit, right? To make millions of people like it. And so I think that when a musician plays a lot of cover songs, they start to understand maybe not exactly the fine details, but why a song became famous, right? Because honestly, if you listen to dogs barking over and over and over, you end up loving dogs barking, right? So if you listen to something over and over and over, you end up liking it, no matter how bad the song may be. But if it's a famous song, it got popular quickly. It didn't go over, they didn't let it go, and then 5 years later, all of a sudden people liked it. No, it struck a chord with people
Yeah.
immediately, right? And so if as I was doing, I was playing drums. I wasn't trying to learn the guitar part. I wasn't trying to learn the keyboard part, or I wasn't singing it. So I'm listening to the song. And drummers, well, that's what we do. We listen to the song, so we can make the song better. And So you listen to enough songs like that, enough hit songs, and you start to understand, I think, you know, because it's funny. I've known a lot of musicians that played original songs, wrote their own songs. And as a matter of fact, I've played in bands with a lot of original bands, and I've also played in bands, cover bands, and we hired somebody that came from an original band. We thought, oh, that guy's a good guitar player, that guy's a good singer. Let's put him in this cover band. And it was difficult. It was difficult because they didn't like to do this something someone has already done. But the thing about that is that if you don't have that kind of understanding of music, a lot of times the songs you write aren't good. You're just going what's in your head. But if you haven't had a lot of influence with music, especially music that's popular, you don't know how important hooks are, right?
Oh, I agree.
And so a lot of original bands don't make it, in my opinion, don't make it because they don't have enough experience about how to put a song together that people like, you know. Now you have to play songs you love, but you also know how to construct a song to make it sound good. So anyway, so that helped me write my musical because I think they're hummable songs. Anyway, so that's my musical. And that's, I don't know. See, we're wandering. I'm wandering, you know.
No. We're trying to get the breadth of this because there's more to the musical than just the musical itself and how you came to create it and your style of music. Can you tell me where the pirate idea came from? That it's such a strange one. At first, you sort of think, "Oh, what's that?" And then, having listened to some of it, which we'll share anon, you sort of think, "Oh, it's kind of obvious." But how did you come up with it?
Because I'm a boy. No, seriously, it was really funny because when I first wrote it, and I went because I was living here in France, I thought the closest place to go would be to the UK, right? They have a good musical scene, and Andrew Lloyd Webber and lots of people are from, great musical writers are from there. So I took my stuff and my demo CD and I went to the UK. And right off the top, the first negative comment I got, and I got it a lot, was the music's good, but who would go to see a musical about pirates? Because basically before that, because we're talking about 2000, 2001, 2002, the only pirate influence that you really had, you had the pirates in Peter Pan, right? You had Treasure Island, and there have been failed pirate movies for a long time, and Errol Flynn, right? His movies, the swashbucklers. That's what they were called, swashbucklers. And but despite the fact that there wasn't much influence, every little boy grows up with pirates on there, playing pirates. I don't know if they're in the UK, but in America, cowboys and Indians is one thing, but pirates, pirates is different. And so pirates struck my imagination, and I heard this story. I started getting books on pirates, and there are books. I think three books that were written by pirates or at the time of pirates.
Really?
That yeah, that they knew what pirates are all about at that time. And so I started reading books, and I ended up reading, I think, 7 books on pirates. And the early books is really funny because England was trying to put pirates down. They were trying to get rid of pirates because pirates were plundering their ships. The story that we hear, right? And the more I investigated, I thought, there's this very interesting story that I would like to pursue, and that's the story of Calico Jack and Anne Bonny and Mary Read. So Anne Bonny and Mary Read were 2 women that dressed up as pirates, and they ended up sailing on the same ship, the ship that was captained by Calico Jack. And so in the books I read, the details of all of those the three pirates, the details of them were all different, except they all said that they all got hanged, right? And this character is that character is this, and the thing about pirates is, in the day of the pirates, if you got caught as a pirate and you used your name, and they caught you, they would also, throw your family in jail, take all of your possessions. So pirates changed their name, you know. I mean, even now, we don't know if what Blackbeard's real name. They say Edward Teach, but there's about two or three other versions of what his real name is, because it was dangerous, right? So pirates was interesting to me. I found a subject that I thought was really interesting, and that I was going to uh, put a better story to it, theoretically something closer to the truth. And so a friend of mine, actually a guy that I met in France, that was my best friend for a long time when I was in France the first time, named Anthony Hudson, he was keeping track of, as I was writing, was keeping track of what I was doing. And he called me one day and he said, I want you to talk to this guy I just met. And his name is, his last name was Shakespeare. I think it was Brian Shakespeare. And Anthony sent me this guy's business card. He was, on his business card, he was the pirate expert to the Queen of England.
Well, can we leave it there now, because we come to the end of our
It's a
session?
story for another day.
And
Anyway,
I'm liking that cliffhanger. So what we normally do is we say, well, thank you very much, and we'll carry this story on, because there's more. This is the beginning. And so this is number one, episode one, if you like. So we revisit this, we'll revisit a number of bits associated with this in future episodes. So right now, I want to say a huge thank you, Jaren, and we, sorry?
I said it was fun. It was fun.
Okay, and we always end on a huge smile while I find the off button. All right. Thank you so much, Jaren. See you
All right.
next time.
See you again. Bye.